The biological operating system, where the genetic password is decoded into life. Author: Nguyen Song Leet. Writer: independent researcher. Chapter 1. The biological operating system. 1. Code is static. Life is dynamic. A book may contain countless words, but without a reader, it is nothing more than paper. DNA is the same. The genome is merely a sequence of ATGC characters lying still, like a compressed file. It does not know how to open itself, how to run itself, or how to operate on its own. What transforms DNA into life is not the code itself, but the energy that reads, decodes, and executes that code. And this entire process is coordinated by what we may call the biological operating system. 2. A real operating system, built from molecules and energy. In a computer, the CPU reads instructions. RAM maintains timing. The clock generates frequency. The operating system allocates resources. In a cell, the ribosome acts as the CPU, reading codons one by one. ATP provides the energy pulses that sustain all activity. Calcium, potassium, and sodium ions oscillate like clock signals. Regulatory proteins function as the kernel. Chemical, energy feedback networks act as the scheduler. The cell membrane serves as a firewall. Background thermal energy is the electric current that keeps the system alive. This is a true operating system, except it is not written in code, but in oscillations, bonds, feedback loops, and energy exchange. 3. The clock of life. Energy oscillations that sustain the entire system. A computer clock runs at gigahertz frequencies. The clock of life runs on ionic oscillations, ATP cycles, and carbon vibrations. ATP releases energy in pulses on the order of 10 to the minus 10 seconds. Calcium ions generate phase waves that propagate across the cell. Protons in water oscillate at stable frequencies that preserve protein structure. If the clock stops, life stops. If the clock becomes disordered, disease emerges. Life exists because billions of microscopic oscillators resonate together, like countless pendulums swinging in synchrony. 4. The biological operating system is written by energy. The most remarkable feature of the biological operating system is this: it requires no programmer. Energy itself is the programmer. Photons, thermal motion, pressure, electric charge, and magnetic fields act on carbon and water, forcing them to form bonding patterns, repeating sequences, feedback networks, polymer structures, self-sustaining systems. Over millions of years, energy imprints stable structures onto matter. These stable structures become code, and the surrounding feedback becomes the operating system. 5. The operating system decodes the genetic password. When a new cell is created, DNA functions like a password. The biological operating system boots. The clock begins to run. Ribosomes attach to genes. Proteins are produced. Feedback networks are activated. At this stage, the operating system performs 3 fundamental tasks. First, it verifies the integrity of the password. If the ATGC sequence is corrupted, the system repairs it or destroys the cell. Second, it decodes the password into action, reading codons, producing proteins, and constructing the organism. Third, it distributes energy to the correct locations. No protein can function without ATP, just as no CPU can operate without electricity. 6. One species operating system cannot run another species code. This point is critical. You cannot run iOS applications on Android. You cannot run Windows software on Mac OS. And you cannot run the DNA of a fish on the human biological operating system. Although all species use the same ATGC alphabet, each has a distinct way of reading, processing, and responding to that code. That is why genetic passwords are securely protected across species boundaries. 7. Life is a coupled system of code and energy. When viewed together, DNA holds the static component. The biological operating system maintains the dynamic component. Energy is what awakens the code. Without energy, the code is dead. Without code, there is no evolutionary memory. Without an operating system, the code cannot be read. Life requires all three: code, rhythm, feedback. This is the biological trinity. 8. The biological operating system as a legacy of an oscillating universe. When the Big Bang created an oscillatory energy environment, carbon became the optimal material for information storage. Water became the perfect resonant medium. Organic polymers became temporary memory. Energy cycles became the clock. Feedback networks became the kernel. From these emerged an operating system capable of self-repair, self-maintenance, and self-replication, something no artificial technology has yet achieved. The universe wrote the first operating system of life. An operating system that requires no programmer, only energy in motion, matter that responds, and resonance that emerges. Closing of Chapter 1. The biological operating system is where energy and matter meet. It is where the genetic password is read and transformed into life. It is where the oscillations of the universe become the heartbeat of every living being. It is not random. It is not an accident. It is the result of billions of years of energy flowing through matter and leaving traces. Traces that accumulate into code, feedback mechanisms, resonant rhythms, and ultimately, life itself. Chapter 2: The Operational Foundation. The operating system of life. When we recognize that life, at its deepest level, is a machine that processes energy and information, a fundamental question inevitably arises. What operating system does this machine run on? Without an operating system, every piece of hardware is nothing more than inert matter. Without an operating system, energy has no direction, no feedback, and no way to organize itself into memory. 1. Life had an operating system, long before humans existed. At the very beginning, when Earth was nothing more than a chaotic sea of energy, all molecules moved according to the laws of physics. Yet over time, that chaos began to organize itself. In computers, small electric currents form logic gates. Logic gates form processors. Processors together give rise to an operating system. In biology, a similar progression occurs. Energy oscillations form chemical bonds. Chemical bonds form stable molecules. Stable molecules form self-replicating cycles. Self-replication gives rise to operational logic. This operational logic is the primordial operating system of life. 2. The biological operating system is not written in code, but in energy. In computers, an operating system is written as lines of code. In living systems, the operating system is a continuously maintained rhythm of energy. It manifests through membrane potentials, ionic rhythms, proton oscillations, the resonant frequencies of water, the vibrational rhythms of DNA molecules. These rhythms play the role of a kernel. They manage resources such as charge, protons, and ions. They synchronize metabolic processes. They prevent the system from collapsing into chaos. They coordinate signaling. Calcium ions, for example, act like CPU interrupts. What is remarkable is this: energy not only runs the operating system, it also rewrites it when adaptation is required. Humans cannot be separated from this energy-based operating system. Our consciousness, our emotions, memories, and thoughts also runs on this same foundation. 3. A soft yet highly disciplined operating system. Unlike Windows or Linux, the operating system of life can repair itself, can expand itself, can learn, can change its internal structure while maintaining continuous operation. Inside the human body, when we think a new thought, neurons form new pathways. Synapses strengthen or weaken. Proteins restructure. Ionic thresholds are reprogrammed. If computers modify programs by changing bits, life modifies its programs through transmitted energy. This is why it can be said, human beings are the highest expression of the energy transmission problem. 4. Consciousness as the user interface of the energy operating system. Users see a computer's interface, not the hardware beneath it. In the same way, consciousness functions as the interface through which we perceive the world, the place where energy signals are translated into sensations, the screen on which memory is displayed, the channel through which we issue commands back to the system. When we feel anger, joy, or fear, we are controlling the operating system through emotion. When we meditate, we are reducing internal processes running within the operating system. 5. Energy created the operating system. Now humans are beginning to imitate it. Today, when humans develop neural AI, quantum networks, biological computing, DNA programming, neuromorphic chips, we are, in fact, imitating the logic of the biological operating system. Flexible, self-repairing, energy efficient, driven by small electrical pulses, organized through resonance rather than rigid instruction. In other words, technology is approaching a point where consciousness, the most refined form of energy, may itself become a realizable technology. 6. Conclusion. The operating system of life is what we are beginning to recreate. In the previous chapter, life was described as a machine running on biological hardware. In this chapter, we see that all hardware requires an operating system, and the biological operating system is not written in code, is not written in programming languages, but is written in resonant energy rhythms that extend from molecules to consciousness itself. Chapter 3: The Processor of Life. From codon to the bit of consciousness. If the operating system is the foundation, the next question we must ask is this: where is the CPU of life? What truly processes information? What makes decisions? What transforms energy into code, and code into life? In computers, the CPU is responsible for reading instructions, processing bits, allocating resources, and producing feedback. In biology, these functions are distributed, but they are most clearly concentrated in 3 components: DNA codons, proteins as instruction executors, and neural networks as processors of consciousness. All of them operate according to a single unified principle: energy, state, information, feedback. 1. Codons, the first processing unit of life. Before intelligence existed, before consciousness emerged, before brains appeared, life possessed only a primitive processor, the triplet of bases known as the codon. Each codon functions like a byte of instruction, an operational code, a binary message written not in electronics, but in chemistry. Why triplets? Because only triplets provide enough combinations to encode 20 amino acids, just as 8 bits are required to generate 256 states. In DNA, the codon is the first unit of instruction processing, the site where chemical energy is transformed into living information, the molecular CPU that nature invented on its own. Codons do not think. They perform only one action: read, translate, and respond. Yet this simple cycle, read, translate, respond, is the root of every form of information processing that we later call thinking. 2. Proteins. Instruction executors with the power of billions of transistors. If codons are instructions, proteins are the running processes. Proteins fold themselves, react automatically, change states dynamically, open and close energy pathways, and form feedback networks. If each protein is considered a process, then a single cell runs tens of thousands of parallel processes, automatically managing energy, heat, and ions, interacting like a distributed supercomputer. What is remarkable is this: proteins do not think, yet they create the physical conditions from which thinking can emerge. Just as transistors do not think, but form the foundation of all digital logic. 3. Neural networks. where energy becomes consciousness. As life reached sufficient complexity, nature connected proteins, ions, and electrical signals into neural networks. Neurons are a special kind of CPU, individually weak, but collectively, about 86 billion neurons, forming a processing system comparable to a supercomputer powered by microscopic energy. Neuronal membrane potentials resemble binary pulses, yet remain flexible, operate with thresholds, and change continuously with energy flow. For this reason, neurons do not merely process information, they sense it. Here, for the first time in the history of the universe, energy records itself, predicts itself, feeds back upon itself, and calls this process consciousness. Consciousness is not mysterious. It is energy feedback at the most refined level nature has ever produced. 4. Codons as bits, neurons as CPUs, consciousness as algorithms. When everything is brought together, a clear architecture emerges. Codons function like bits and bytes. Proteins act as running processes. Cells resemble distributed microprocessors. Neural networks operate as learning CPUs. Consciousness behaves like a self-writing algorithmic system. Most importantly, from codons to consciousness, nothing violates the laws of energy transmission. What differs are only energy levels, response times, and modes of oscillation. Nature has constructed a decentralized, non-linear, resonant architecture, far more powerful than any CPU humans have ever built. 5. Humans are imitating the processor of life. Today, artificial intelligence uses neural networks, learns from signals, adjusts weights autonomously, and responds in cell-like ways. Neuromorphic chips use electrical pulses similar to neurons, consume energy with brain-like efficiency. DNA computing uses codons for programming, processes information at the molecular level. All of this points to one conclusion. Humans did not invent artificial intelligence. Humans are copying the processor of life. 6. Chapter conclusion. From codons to neurons, the processor of life is flexible, self-learning, energy efficient, self-expanding, and self-rewriting. And all of it arises from tiny rhythms of energy that the universe has arranged over billions of years. Chapter 4: Consciousness as an energy optimization system. The mathematical route from carbon to the human brain. There is a sharp and consistent way to look at this. Mathematics is not a product of human intelligence. Mathematics is the natural language of energy. And the deepest reason is this. All of mathematics is built upon the law of conservation of energy. 1. Mathematics arises from energy conservation. Every mathematical operation hides a physical principle behind it. No energy is created from nothing. No energy is lost. Energy only transforms from state A to state B. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are simply ways humans model energy transitions so that they are energy efficient, shortest in path, and most stable. A classic example: 1 plus 1 equals 2. Logically, this can be rewritten as 1 plus 1 equals 5 minus 3, or equals 100 divided by 50, or equals the square root of 4. But all of these transformations are longer, require more processing energy, and are less stable than the shortest path. The universe chooses the shortest path because it satisfies 3 criteria: efficiency, economy, accumulation. As a result, mathematics is the collection of optimal pathways through which energy flows. 2. Life operates by the same mathematical principle. When life emerged, it inherited this exact principle of optimization. Criterion 1. Efficiency. Life prioritizes the fastest and most accurate routes of energy transmission. Ionic channels, membrane potentials, proton transfer, and photon transport in chlorophyll. Criterion 2. Economy. The body minimizes unnecessary operations. Neurons prune unused connections. Unused genes are silenced, and proteins are synthesized only when needed. Criterion 3. Accumulation. Experience is compressed into matter. Mutations preserve optimized solutions. Synaptic maps store memory, and epigenetic marks retain environmental traces. These three criteria constitute the mathematical substance of life. They are not philosophy. They are direct consequences of energy conservation. 3. Carbon. The starting point of energy-based consciousness. Consciousness does not arise from complexity alone. Consciousness begins with the ability of matter to record and respond. The first material capable of doing this was carbon. Carbon possesses 4 valence electrons. Flexible hybridization, sp, sp2, and sp3. The ability to form stable yet adaptable networks. And an ease of absorbing and releasing energy. When energy acts on carbon in the primordial environment, bonds are continuously broken and reformed. Patterns emerge. Repetition turns patterns into chemical information. Chemical information becomes the ATGC bases. Bases repeat in groups of 3 to form codons. And codons form energy-optimized sequences. This is the origin of primitive consciousness. Energy learns to leave traces on carbon, and carbon learns to respond to energy. 4. The role of Earth's magnetic field, the guiding hand. Your intuition here is correct. Consciousness cannot emerge if energy has no direction. Undirected energy leads to chaotic oscillations. Chaotic oscillations cannot form structure. Without structure, there is no information. Without information, there is no life. So what provided direction to energy in a chaotic universe? The answer is the magnetic field. Earth's magnetic field is stable, envelopes the entire surface of the planet, creates energy gradients, aligns electron spins, orientates polar molecules, and shapes oscillation vectors in water, carbon systems. The consequence is profound. The magnetic field straightens energy flow along preferred directions. Straight energy flow produces repeating patterns, which become chemical information. This mechanism is analogous to magnetic fields aligning domains in magnetic materials, radio waves guided by antennas, or a pendulum oscillating around a fixed axis. Without a magnetic field, there is no track. Without a track, there is no optimization. Without optimization, there is no living information. 5. The mathematical origin of consciousness. When energy, photons, electric charges, and oscillations moves through carbon under magnetic orientation, it generates cycles, rhythms, optimization, patterns, and feedback. This forms a natural mathematical engine that selects the shortest paths, eliminates detours, accumulates efficient patterns, and builds structures capable of outperforming previous generations. Once such structures become sufficiently complex, they gain the ability to evaluate their own pathways. At that point, consciousness equals an energy optimization algorithm embodied in carbon. Consciousness is not a detached soul. Consciousness is an optimization problem of energy, minimizing energy loss, maximizing stability, and accumulating optimal patterns. This mechanism appears in carbon molecules as primitive consciousness, in DNA as hereditary consciousness, in neurons as reflexive consciousness, and in the brain as self-aware consciousness. All share the same origin, the mathematics of energy. 6. Conclusion. Consciousness equals energy plus direction plus optimization. A generalized formula can be stated as follows. Consciousness equals transmitted energy multiplied by magnetic direction multiplied by carbon structures capable of memory. If any component is missing. Without energy, there is no oscillation. Without magnetic fields, oscillations become chaotic. Without carbon, there is no material capable of recording information. When all three converge, consciousness emerges as an inevitable result of mathematics.